turn in my wreck her minivan.
Oh, really?
If you want to switch, I can switch.
Fair is fair.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I just got it. It's, it was one of my lots, and I needed a new one.
They used to.
Be loud.
Oh,
We're
There
out.
they go. Okay. Are we good? Good? Okay. Okay, I'll call to order the Tuesday, May 10th, 7 o'clock regular board meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Southgate's mission statement is learning for life. The vision statement is Southgate Community Schools, the best choice for students and parents. That brings us to item D, which is revision or approval of the agenda. Would anybody like to make a motion on the agenda?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to revise the agenda.
Okay.
I'd like to pull Agenda I, Action Item 6, approval of board member professional development memberships. I'm going to take more time to monitor the Department of Education's list of approved board training reimbursement institutions.
Okay. I number 6, okay. Any other modifications to the agenda? All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion on the revised agenda
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to revise the,
to approve the.
to approve the agenda as
as
presented.
revised. Okay. Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Support. Supported by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes, and we have a revised agenda. I don't see any presentations on there for tonight, so no presentations. That brings us to F, which is citizens' comments. I have one from Mr. Plowski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everyone. My name is Robert Pulowski, and I live at 12757 Chestnut Street in Southgate. Two things I'd like to make known tonight are the banners. I don't think anyone has seen them. If you haven't seen them, you're a little crazy, but pretty sure everyone in this district has seen the banners, and outstanding job. I saw the people outside my work actually putting them up, and I saw one stretch of Eureka already has them done. There's certain parts of Eureka that have not had them implemented yet, but it's actually good to see the banners out and showing Titan pride. So congratulations to our 2022 seniors. Your hard work pays off, and your future will go along as soon as your life progresses. You know, I look forward to seeing their future grow and to see a future in our city and future of our region as well. The second thing I'd like to
They were sent right to our installers. They got them up exactly when they said they were going to get them up. The city had that permit ready for us. It really went well, and I want to say thank you for all of those that played a role in making a pretty significant difference on Eureka and the impact of the school system within the city of Southgate. I think it is a mark of a cultural change and support that we hope to sustain for a long period of time. So we want to say thank you to them. And of course, we are taking a look at where all those placements are, and we're going to make some adjustments. They will be up all summer. So please keep looking. If your child's banner moves, it just went to a better location. So keep looking. So thank you very much, and go Titans.
Thank you. All right, next item is the consent agenda, which contains minutes from April 26th, 2022 closed session, April 26th, 2022 regular meeting, HR update, and disbursements for April of 2022. I'll entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Dr. Pomponio, is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Estheimer. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. That brings us to our first action item, which is the approval of the 2022-2023 Wayne Risa budget.
Yes, annually, the county Risa budget is given to the Board of Education for review and approval. These funds, they do require the vote of all of the school districts within their county to pass, and this is before you to pass today.
Any questions for staff? I looked at it, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's what we see all the time, so.
The only item of note that will impact us is that the enhancement funds that we have received from year to year will be reduced by 25%. It was renewed, but now it has been made available to all charter schools as well. And so that spread does reduce the total amount of enhancement dollars coming to the district by 25%. So that is probably the most noteworthy piece of this particular budget that will impact Southgate.
Bring the discussion back to the table, and I'll entertain a motion on action item number 1.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Wayne Risa General Fund operating budget for the 2022-2023 school year, and to direct the Secretary of the Board to submit a copy of this resolution to the Secretary of the Wayne Risa Board of Education.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Estheimer. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Action item number 2 is the approval of the new engine for the 2012 Southgate School District box truck.
Yes, last board meeting, we brought box trucks to you to approve. We did take a look at all of our box trucks and decided that the 2012 one could be repaired with a new engine, and it would be significantly cheaper, and we would still get long life from that truck. But it is an item that's above the $3,500 threshold by board policy, so it is before you to approve this evening. There are limited shops that can handle box truck engine replacements because of the extra and level of equipment that's needed for it. So we do have one in the amount of $9,510, and we are asking for approval to move forward. It will take several months for that to come in.
Okay. Is this in lieu of purchasing one of the others?
No, this is an addition.
This is an addition to it.
So we are replacing the IT box truck. We are getting a food service box truck,
Okay.
but we decided not to ask for the maintenance box truck because we believe that we could get it repaired.
Okay. Okay. Any questions for staff?
So it's a 2012 with 64,000 miles, or is that incorrect with the odometer reading?
I'll get back with you on that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay, action item number 3 is the approval of the Asher door replacement.
Yes, we do have adult education grant funds that goes into the Asher building, and that can be used for capital improvements. So there was a grant amount budgeted for doors, new doors for Asher. The doors are rusted out in several locations. The cement work below it is in bad shape as well. And so the director of the adult education did plan for this, and we do need to get this purchase processed so that we can get them in time for the June 30th deadline for spending money out of that grant. The grant will cover the Asher doors. The bond will cover the cement work that will go around and secure them in place.
How much money do we still have in this grant fund, and do we have a plan to use the rest of it before it runs out?
We do have Kendall here that can talk a little bit. I believe it's only 15,000 that was actually available for this, and so it'll just meet the amount of the grant. So it's, the doors themselves it'll be 15,000.
So we're pretty much gonna exhaust this before the deadline on the doors,
Right,
okay? And then use the rest from the bond for the cement.
correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on action item number 3. Mr. Green.
Mr. President, I move to approve the purchase of new doors for Asher School in the amount of $14,820 from the Adult Education Grant Funds and $4,650 in cement work from the 2020 bond fund.
I have a motion by Mr. Green. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Lamas. Okay. Any discussion? Just unfortunately, this is one of those things that we put all the salt by the doors because that's where people walk, and this is what salt does, is it eats up doors and concrete. So, helps us not fall, but it does damage to our property, we gotta maintain it, so.
I can still fall.
I'm sure, yeah. So, yeah, I get it, why this is necessary. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Action item number 4 is the approval of custodial equipment package.
Yes. When the district changed from DM Burr to Forefront, they came in over spring break and did a really pretty thorough, comprehensive clean in at least 2 of our buildings. They did a few things at that time. They used it as a training opportunity for staff. They also used it as an evaluation period for the equipment that we had. All the equipment kind of all went to those sites, and all the staff went to those sites, and they got some heavy supervision, both the equipment and everything else involved. So I am going to invite Mr. Corker here. Mr. Corker is the regional area manager for this particular, for our site. So he's our site manager from Forefront.
Good evening.
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 Well, I'll just give you kind of a rundown of what happened and how it happened. And so we came in on March 28th during spring break or Easter break or however you called it. And we had all the ride-on, all the battery-powered equipment come to 2 buildings. Our goal was to get the high school and the middle school completely cleaned. So we had 5 pieces at the high school and 4 pieces at the middle school. Within 2 hours, 3 of the pieces were down, broke. And by the end of the day, we had 1 piece at each building available to use to clean. It made it kind of a difficult task, as much of the hallways and everything, we had to scrub them down and try and get them ready and put the floor finish on. We did manage to get it done, but the equipment's in pretty bad shape. I brought in a specialist that has worked with me many times to evaluate the equipment, and I think they all got copies of this. So basically what I did is I had him evaluate, is this repairable, is it not? And the district has 3 pieces that are worth keeping and repairing if they need to be repaired. And the rest is pretty much scrap value, if I should say it that way. And honestly, these pieces of equipment did pretty well, considering that they're all about 10, 11 years old. And the life expectancy on a piece of equipment is anywhere from 7 to 10 years. So they're in pretty rough shape. Some of them, they're rusted out from all the chemicals and the misuse over the time. So I did a pretty good thorough check on them. So it wasn't just a, hey, let's just do this. So there's 3 pieces still available to use. And they still need a few repairs. Some of them need batteries, but they should operate fairly well. I went light, to be quite honest with you. I'm just trying to make sure that I didn't kill you folks with a huge number. My original estimate was somewhere around 180,000, and I got it down to the number you see at 127,693 bucks. The vacuums that we have do not work at all. We go to vacuum up anything, and they're just. And some of it's been because of budgetary things, I'll put it that way. They buy the cheapest they can find, and then they work for 6 months, 5 months. Where these vacuums that I'm recommending, the upright vacuums, we're hoping 3 to 5 years. That's the life expectancy out of a vacuum like this. It's a 2-motor upright, and it will pick up and do those kind of things. Some of the other stuff like the propane stripping machines, those are a time saver. And with the way schools are right now, with everything still going on all summer and all these programs, trying to get these schools clean in the summer is a major, major, major accomplishment. The propane machines will cut our time for stripping and re-waxing, like the hallways, the big areas, down to maybe about half, so that we can spend other time doing other things like getting the classrooms cleaner and safer. Any questions?
So these are all new pieces,
Yes, ma'am, they're all brand new pieces.
so they would have warranties on that?
Most of the ones have 1-year parts and labor. Some have 3 years on their bodies. In other words, if the tank leaks or something like that, yes.
Are there any options to get extended warranties at all on those?
No. What you could do, though, is you could look at a preventative maintenance program where you have a mechanic come in on a quarterly basis and go over all the pieces of equipment and try and stay on top of it. That can get a little bit pricey per se. My goal will be to train our people well enough to maintain them and take care of them. I'm not buying any batteries that aren't AGM, which means they're totally sealed, so they don't put water in them. That means they can't screw them up. And the life expectancy on batteries is about 2 years. So if we take care of the machines properly, I think we'll be all right. Things are gonna break periodically no matter what we do. But if we repair them quickly and stay on top of it, which I don't think for the last few years has been done.
So that brings me to the next question of maintenance. I'm not sure, I think this would be a question for the maintenance director. Would our equipment be maintained like a maintenance list so we don't have any surprises down the road, and as well as an inventory list? So you come to us using our equipment then, so you don't bring anything?
That's what the
Over.
contract called for.
Okay, so that's what I was curious about. So who would maintain the inventory and the maintenance list? And if we even have that right now?
Right, so, although the equipment will be owned by us, Forefront is going to be protecting that equipment, inventorying that equipment, storing that equipment, making sure that all that's done. And
Right,
by
we'll
that
be
meaning that we're
responsible
supervising it.
to train them properly, maintain it. If I see some, if we, between myself and a gentleman named Jason, who is your area, he's here all day, every day. He's got quite a few years of experience also. And between the two of us, we'll make sure it gets taken care of and repaired properly.
So we'll have a running list of like what's maintained and what date of service it would be? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Mr. Say, go ahead.
That was my concern when we had the meeting in regards to the equipment. I had a feeling that the equipment wasn't gonna last. So obviously, the school will own all this equipment. In regards to, I'd like to see a maintenance on it when you're saying whether it's quarterly or, annually with a mechanic that's utilizing, just to get a budget for these so we have an idea, because I know they break down, whether it's a squeegee on the back, whether it's the batteries, you're saying they don't have the water in them, so.
I can give you a quick guesstimate.
Okay.
And but you're probably looking at between $1,500 and $2,000 for all the pieces quarterly.
Okay. And what if you didn't do quarterly? The price is gonna go up, obviously, but.
Well, it's not a matter of it going up, it's a matter of us making sure that we take care of it.
Yeah.
And if something breaks, like a vacuum motor goes bad, we replace it right away, take care of it. I like to tell everybody, I think on equipment, to be honest with you, I think the first year, because you're still under warranty, unless it's due to abuse, and hopefully that won't happen, it's covered. You might look at it at the second or third year and stay, okay, now we're starting to get into that touchy-feely area, and maybe look at it at that point, instead of spending the money.
Yeah, well, I agree with you for the first year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've tried to look at a bunch of things to help save the district money. We looked at dust mops and matting too. You've been renting matting, and my initial numbers are $60,000 savings over a 3-year period.
To buy it out.
Well, you buy the dust mops, the matting quote just came in today. It's about $43,000 for all matting, but that matting should last 7 to 10 years. And you've been renting them over a 10-year period, you're probably gonna save somewhere between $150,000 and $200,000.
Pretty good.
Thank you, that's all.
Go ahead.
I just had a question about the training on the new equipment. You're gonna train the employees on it, so we're not gonna, so that we'll get the maximized time on the equipment, proper
Right.
training?
Yes. Give you an idea, like just the upright vacuum. I will probably take somewhere between, and I will do the training myself personally, probably somewhere between 40 and 45 minutes just to show them how to use the vacuum. That's not including the rest of this stuff. We're probably looking at 7 to 10 hours of training on all the equipment for everybody. And that's group trainings as we can get them in. It'll probably, most of it will be done during summer break because a lot of this equipment, as you all know about supplies and sources right now, we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks, except for the vacuum cleaners. I think they'll be in a couple weeks, but we need them desperately, trust me.
And the people who use them right now, they're experienced with these kinds of machinery?
Some are, some aren't,
Okay,
but they will get trained and they will know how to use them properly. I
okay,
can guarantee you that one.
thank you.
You all set, Neil?
Yeah.
So, thank you, and this is exactly why we agreed to do business with your organization. And this is the kind of thing that we needed, and you're exposing some of our weaknesses, which are good, so we can fix them. And this, last time I've been in the schools, they're beautiful. I mean, it's a marked difference, so thank you. I also appreciate your worry about our budget situation, but I have a question, maybe a challenge about that. You said you may have done something differently, but you worry about us and our sensitivity around spending more money. Should we spend more with this to get better results, either from a productivity standpoint, which I think is mentioned in here somewhere? Or are you shortcutting us because you're trying to be sensitive to our budget? We'd like to know, and we can make a decision about that.
Let me put it, let's address it a different way. I think right now, to get us going and moving in the right direction, I think this is a good amount of equipment. A year from now, I'll have a better handle on how much is getting used, on how regularly it's getting used. That's one of the, like the wet dry vacuums, I just ordered 4. Normally, most of the schools, we have 1 in each building. In case there's a flood or something like that, they can go in and pick it up. But with the automatic scrubbers, if we got a flood in the smaller schools like Asher and Allen, we have an automatic scrubber. We can use that to pick up floods. So it's basically trying to do it properly. And a year from now, I might come to you and say, I might need another $40,000, $50,000 of equipment to round it out. But as of right now, no.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you for the work you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. So, I guess what I'm understanding is that in our contract, we're supposed to provide the equipment for them to use. What do we have that makes sure that that equipment is not being abused by people who are not our employees, who, it's not their equipment, it's not your equipment, it's ours? How do we make sure it is being used properly and not being abused, and what's
That's a real good question. I'll put it to you this way. We're so vested in this district right now because this is our, as some of you know, our first venture into schools where we've been in hospitals and nursing homes and doing that kind of thing. We don't want it to fail. And I've been around a long time, and I hate to see equipment that's not taken care of. As a matter of fact, every day during that spring break, all the pieces of equipment that were working were cleaned thoroughly every day. And everybody kept saying, well, we're just gonna get them dirty again tomorrow. I said, I don't care. That's how they last longer. So every day, with 20 minutes left to go, all the equipment's cleaned. And if you walk through the schools and you see the janitor's carts, they've been given strict instructions, what's allowed on those janitor carts, how they're supposed to look. They're supposed to be neat, organized, and cleaned. If they don't, they get reprimanded for it. So we're trying to stay on top of those things. We're trying to do things differently.
And the maintenance of this equipment, I assume, falls to us since it's ours.
It will in terms of cost, it'll be shifted to us, but in terms of how that maintenance is supervised and overseen and done is gonna be forefronts.
So if a motor burns up and you gotta buy a new motor, you're buying it, you're sending us the bill. Here's how much your new motor was.
Right. Right now, yes.
Right now, that's the way it'll work, right?
But it's not our, we're not maintaining it in terms of the labor or the identification of need or all of that. That's all. Deciding when it needs to be done and what needs to be done to fix it is theirs.
Is gonna be on them, okay? And to, I guess, to a point, I'm all about efficient equipment, but buying you a much more efficient piece of equipment, where does that come back to help me? Other than helping you on your time? how
Well, I
does that
think,
help
I
me?
think it's the whole thing is, the goal is to make the schools safer, cleaner, and healthier. And if without the proper equipment, it's very difficult. I mean, that first week, I had a 20-inch scrubber to do all those high school hallways. I mean, my manager was here 20 hours a day scrubbing floors, just trying to get it, make sure we got it to that point, you know, like we promised. You know, I was expecting 4 or 5 pieces of equipment. I could have done it. I might have got more of the schools done, scrubbed, recoated, and finished. And I mean, we got them all cleaned very, very well, but we didn't get time to go to the hallways on a lot of the other schools.
Because I assume we don't have a propane
No, you do not.
stripper right now, right?
No,
So
you
we're
do
gonna
not.
get one, and that's gonna improve your efficiency
Right.
quite a bit.
Right. But like I said, you know, summer cleanup, you got programs and contracts out to redo some of these schools, and I've been in the schools long enough to know all those contractors, oh, we'll be done with 2 weeks left to go. Never happens. Labor Day weekend, I'm trying to scramble to get people to get the buildings clean for schools, the start of school. So I'm hoping that some of this will help alleviate some of that for me.
Well, I mean, I have no doubt if we buy more efficient equipment, then you'll be more efficient.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the other thing we did too is, we brought in those ultraviolet lights to kill the COVID in some of the buildings, and it worked really well at Ford Line. We dropped from 18 cases the first 2 days down to 3 the second. There has not been a new one that I know of at Ford Line.
I would say that it's hard to know that
Okay.
exactly.
All right,
I would
well,
definitely say
but-
we've had more positive cases, whether they were school associated. That seems to have stopped, the school associated side of it. But definitely there have been.
So, we've been trying to, and we were in the high school all weekend with those, and we wanted to do the big cafeteria or the big area there this week, but there's so many people and you can't run those machines with people in the building, so we made arrangements today. One of our custodians is gonna come in at 4:30 in the morning the next couple days to do the cafeteria and the gymnasium and the multi-purpose room, because there's so much activity. Saturday at 7 o'clock, there was still 200-300 people in the building at Anderson.
It's a busy, it's a
What we
busy,
want.
busy place. That's,
Right.
that is,
what we want.
that is our goal, is to,
Right, and I understand that, but
yeah, it's hard to clean that.
yeah, we gotta clean around that stuff too, so.
Yep.
I would say, echo though, as a superintendent who wants to retain the flexibility, if we had a company that wasn't working out, to shift companies like we did this time, it's really important to own our own equipment. And so what I've appreciated is to have an expert come in and tell us what we have and what we don't have and what we need. And so whether they're doing the work or we're doing the work or some other company is doing the work, we know that we have a collection of equipment that will do the job. And that's really one reason why I would fight for us to have our own equipment, and how much I appreciate that I will know, I rest easy knowing that it's good, solid equipment that will do the job, so.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So to Jason's question about supervision, so now that we have everything in place and the good equipment, what's the ratio of supervision to staff at each building?
Well, the head custodians are there during the day, and they have a supervisory position, but they don't have the wherewithal to reprimand the employees, but they report back to our gentleman that's there during the day, Jason. Jason has that ability. I'm down here at least 3-4 times a week. Been in the buildings, walking around, doing inspections and things like that, talking to employees. So we're getting there. It's getting close.
So you say that you have a strict, rule about how they do things. Do you have like a checklist that they're responsible for? Like every day they have to have certain things done in order to?
We have
keep
some
everything?
checklists. I don't have one with me. You don't either?
We can get her, we can get, for anyone, if you'd like to see that.
We have a checklist for restrooms especially, because those are the most bacteria problems. They have a checklist, and every checklist is on each of the janitor's cart as a reminder to them of what they should be doing and how they should be doing it.
That's what I'd like to see, especially, God forbid, any turnover that's, happens frequently.
We did the restroom training during the break, the Monday after you guys were off those 5 days, and then that Monday, we did restroom training, we did classroom cleaning, we bought them some new tools to clean better, and quicker and faster, and they love the new tools. Most of the custodians were with DM Burr and are just, we've had really nice comments from a lot of them, how much easier their job has become in getting it done.
Thank you.
Mr. Sage.
I'm all for getting the equipment. Checklists are only gonna be as good as the person checking it. They can sign off on it all day long. If we're not checking it, it doesn't matter. So, but two things I am concerned about is theft of the equipment. Obviously, it's a big ticket item. On a daily basis, can you have a checklist for your staff to verify that these items are here on a daily basis? So in the event they're gone, it's on you guys to notify the district so we can look at the cameras, so it doesn't go out of a window of time.
Right.
So that would be on forefront to tell the district that, hey, we're missing a scrubber or a vacuum got taken home by somebody.
There's 2 items on that list that are fairly easy to walk out a door. And that would be your vacuum and what they call a doodle bug or doodle scrub. The rest of that equipment is thousands of pounds. If they're pulling that out of there, they're putting it on a trailer.
They're gone.
It'd be pretty.
I've seen things happen.
Right,
so
and I can't stop that, you know what I mean? But, I mean, I've had contractors that are in the building besides us, grab some of our tools.
Right.
And walk away with them. And we try and keep an eye on it as best as we can. Listen, when you're using this equipment and it's missing, you'll know, because that means you're gonna have to work harder to get the job done.
But can we get something from you that says that we're gonna be notified as a district?
Yeah, I'm sure we can put
Something's
something.
missing?
Here,
Okay, thank you.
just so you know, it's Gary Pollock, he's our vice president and one of the owners of Forefront. He came down for the meeting, so he'll put something together for us. Thank
And
you,
the only
Gary.
other point I had is, do we have anybody internally that, he's got all kinds of experience, whether it's on a quarterly basis, one of our staff walks through with you, just to verify some of these pieces?
We can do that, that's not a problem.
By verifying, you're talking about inventory?
Well,
making
just
sure-
walking through and looking at the pieces, obviously, they may not have the mechanical skills to know each piece, but we're getting somebody internally, our eyes on it.
Even if we walk it every 6 months or so,
Right.
if we walk it in January and everything looks great, we walk it in July and one of these pieces has a big crack down the side, what happened,
Right.
you know? I know I sound a little weird being uptight about the stuff, but you're asking us to invest a fair amount of money here in equipment that we're not gonna have or use, and, I mean, I think of it like, if I'm getting my grass cut, they show up with a mower, they cut my grass, they don't go into my shed and get my mower and cut my, because I don't expect they're gonna take as good a care of my mower as they are of their own. But I understand this is the way that makes sense for us, and we wanna do it. I wanna make sure that our stuff is not being abused, that it is being maintained the way it should, and if something is wrong, then we're being notified about it right away, so we can determine what that is.
I think we've been pretty transparent through this whole process of everything we're doing and what I've been doing, and
Yeah, you've given me no reason to not trust you.
Right.
I'm a born-again pessimist. I always
Okay.
look at that, what's coming,
we'll do the best
where-
we can, and, I mean, if I need to take an inventory every 3 to 6 months, that's fine, I can go through the buildings and double-check things, but,
I mean, in the scheme of things, if we gotta spend this every 10 years, that's not the worst thing ever. It's just, having a plan to be prepared for these expenses when they come up. And then again, how do we make sure, if it's normal wear and tear and there it goes, then that's fine. That's
Okay.
just that's my concern and caution. I don't have
Okay.
any problems necessarily with the items in front of us, but. All right? I think that's thoroughly beaten up, right?
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Bring
giving
the
us the opportunity too. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Appreciate the good work.
We'll bring the discussion back to the table here, and I'll entertain a motion on item number 4.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of the custodial equipment identified here for replacement and purchase as presented from the vendors list for an amount not to exceed $127,693.90.
I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Support. Supported by Mr. Sage. Any discussion on the item? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, action item number 5, the approval of the fiscal year 22 through fiscal year 25 audit services.
Hi there. So, as you may have seen in the memo that I sent, had a big shock a couple weeks ago on Friday, April 22nd. Yo and Yo severed our relationship due to insufficient capacity on their part. And there was not sufficient time to obtain a full-blown request for bid. It was the Friday before the MSBO conference, so I did a couple of contacts at that point and asked for some quotes from some people rather than a full-blown proposal, which is what I have included here are bids. I did have one firm that wasn't even able to get the information together for me in the amount of time I needed to get a quick turnaround, because we needed to secure somebody immediately to get them in here in June and August. So I did try to get the 3 quotes, as I mentioned. I did get 2. UHY LLP Certified Public Accountants were the ones that were unable to come back due to the short turnaround time. So the 2 quotes that are attached are Raymond, and they bid FY 2022, $31,900, FY 2023, $33,500, and FY 24, $35,000. And this includes up to 2 major single audit programs, which is typically what we have, 2 programs audited. Plant and Moran PLLC bid FY 22, $67,000 to $69,000. FY 2023, $66,610 to $67,610, and FY 24, $69,050. They also assumed 2 major single audit programs that would be tested. And if you look at the attachment, which they have included an engagement letter, which details out the breakdown of those costs for Plant Moran, there is a initial year client, GASB, new GASB standard implementations, a separate charge for federal audit, and a bond compliance fee for running bond reports. Raymond, that's all inclusive. So, given that significant cost difference, I would recommend Raymond for our audit services for FY 2022 through FY 2024. They also have a very good reputation around the community. We've asked them to bid for us before. And they are very up to date on grant and accounting changes as it would affect public schools. So I would ask that you would approve the change over to Raymond Audit Services.
Any questions for staff? Pomponio?
How long have they been in business, and what other districts have they worked with?
Many districts. They're actually larger than Yo and Yo.
Quite a bit.
And I do have their proposal from 2 years ago with me that has, it's like 50 pages or something, and that probably has all of that detailed information as far as when they began their business. And I can get that for you. I don't want to hold everybody up.
No,
But they
that's
have
fine.
been in business a long time.
You can just email
Yeah, they're a
that to
big
the
player.
board. That's
Yes.
fine. Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. There's obviously a huge difference in the fees.
Between Plant and Raymond,
And-
yes,
And my first question, when I see that they understand what we're asking,
yes.
number one.
Raymond?
Yes.
Yes, this is close to what they bid a couple years ago, and they had a very detailed proposal at that time. So, yes.
I did a little Googling about them. They've been around for quite some time. I think the fifties, maybe, something like that. And they also have a financial services team as well, so it's
Yes.
a wealth management team, so it's not like this is their first rodeo, but, just
No.
the difference is so stark. I was wondering what, someone forgot something. So the
Yes.
contracts are, whether it's the same as Plant Moran, I don't care, but the contract will suffice for what we're trying to do?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Sage?
How does the price compare to what we were paying?
We were gonna have to pay, $33,000 this year, but I have heard they've asked for a 15% cost increase for this year on all existing contracts. So that would have put it around $37,950 for this year.
The PLCC didn't even want the job, it looks like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say I've had concerns about using Yo and Yo for a couple of years. I had concerns with the way our process was bid and kind of the way we did that. But, I mean, the circumstances under which they're leaving, I don't like, but I don't have any problems with Raymond. They've been around for a long time. I mean, they're a major player with municipalities and school districts, so I have no issues.
So to clarify, the scope of services will be the exact what we have at this, okay.
You mean with Plant or with Yo?
Right, with Plant Moran, what was given as the bid.
Yeah, yes, it should be, although Plant has identified extra charges for anything extra as
Okay.
well.
And
So-
theirs is all inclusive, their contract is gonna
Raymond?
be? Yeah,
Yes, he indicated to me that it would be similar to what they bid 2 years ago.
Okay.
And it is very close.
okay. Thank you.
Okay, bring the discussion back to the table, and I'll entertain a motion on action item number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve Raymond Audit Services for the 2021 through 2022, 2022 through 2023, and 2023 to 2024 fiscal years.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Pomponio. Is there support? Support. Support by Mr. Green. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, and that brings us to action item number 7, which is the approval of the tentative agreement with the Administrative Assistant Teamsters Union.
Yes, I am pleased to announce that we have reached an agreement with the Administrative Assistant Unit, and they have ratified this agreement among their membership, and so I recommend that the Board of Education also approve this.
Okay. Any questions for staff? Pomponio?
Is it the agreement that we went reviewed and
Yes.
went through? Okay,
That I provided to all of you, yes.
okay.
Okay. Bring the discussion back to the table, and I'll entertain a motion on action item number 7.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the tentative agreement between the Board of Education and the Teamsters 214 Administrative Assistant Union.
Motion by Dr. Pomponio. Support. Is there support? By Mr. Sage. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay. Do we have any employee representatives who'd like to speak tonight?
No, but I would like to introduce some of our newest hire, at least on the administrative side. If Kendall will stand up. Today, Kendall McVicker was approved as the new assistant principal and athletic director for Anderson High School, and I am looking forward to announcing her this next year, or no, tomorrow for this next year. So anyway, congratulations, and well-deserved, and we're excited to see what you do here in the future, so.
Congratulations.
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 And information announcements from the board. Dr. Pomponio?
Wanted to acknowledge the retirements of Mr. Paul Alcantar, Colonel Terry Clemens, Dave Pinkowski, and Mr. John Rama. You've each been an integral part of our school district, and I wish you well. Thank you for your years of service to our students in our district. And also, congratulations to Karen Dunholter for Michigan Social Worker of the Year. And just one more. Just wanted to say that I don't get to speak at the commencements, but there's just a few more weeks for seniors, and there's many activities that are scheduled that will make it seem like a moment till graduation is going to be here before you know it. I'm very proud of our graduating seniors this year and how far you've come to this point. This class in particular holds many students that I've watched grow up. I've spent many hours reading to them, watching them from little kindergartners to now active seniors on their way to independence. So congratulations to the class of 2022 early. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Adjourned by Mr. Estheimer, supported by Mr. Green. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.